On va avoir du mal à trouver un abri.
Vraiment, tu peux pas vraiment jouer je sais pas, Call of Duty? Hein?
Je peux pas jouer, c'est bon.
Non, c'est pas bon, je comprends pas.
C'est quoi le mot? C'est quoi le mot, James? Je peux pas jouer.
Non, j'ai pas encore révisé mes aides-mémoire. Toi aussi t'as un aide-mémoire. Tu sais même pas c'est quoi la couleur rouge. Quoi?
L'aide-mémoire.
J'ai dit aide-mémoire. Toi aussi t'as un aide-mémoire. À chaque fois que tu veux savoir c'est quoi la couleur rouge, ok, tu me dis quel animal le Power Ranger il avait. Après je te dis tyrannosaure. Après là tu dis ah ok la couleur rouge. Tu dis ah ok la couleur.
Et voilà.
Juste viens jouer, ok? Ah ouais, en fait, c'est quel gars qui est dans ta chambre? Il te fait quoi là? Non mais genre, il fait quoi à toi là? C'est pas... genre, vous faites quoi ensemble? C'est ça le truc là? J'ai pas du mal à comprendre.
Je vais te faire du feu.
Viens jouer, ok? Ah ouais, en fait, c'est quel gars qui est dans ta chambre? Il fait quoi là? Non mais genre, il fait quoi à toi là? C'est pas... genre, vous faites quoi ensemble? C'est ça le truc là? J'ai pas du mal à comprendre. Tu m'appelles quand tu viens jouer. Mon Dieu. Tu m'appelles quand tu viens jouer.
Could have any information about it that he didn't explicitly mention in their conversations. Based on the information in the post alone, it would be almost impossible for an ordinary person to figure out what was causing the mysterious post-it notes to appear in the uploader's apartment. The unusual nature of the entry made more than a few users think that the uploader was making the story up. So the handwriting is identical, and the landlord wrote that the landlord doesn't want the landlord to talk to you. You're probably sleepwalking. Also, I think you're making this up because you're not providing enough detail. Are they showing up after you wake up? So they were there at night. Did you find the post-its coming home? Did you find the one behind your desk by chance, or noticeably the same day? Others jumped into the thread to give the uploader advice. Get one of the door locks that can only be unlocked from the inside. If it's the landlord and he is using his key, then he won't be able to get in, at least to the front door. But it wasn't until several hours later that another user named Cackerline responded to the entry with a comment that took the thread in a very different direction. You seem sincere, and this doesn't appear to be the plot of a rape robbery story. It's possible that your landlord is leaving notes inside your apartment, but they don't make any sense in the context you're describing them. It's likely that you're writing the notes yourself, but you are forgetting. Do you use post-it notes as reminders in any other parts of your life or job? Yes, this might be a mental health issue. You might be experiencing some sort of dissociative disorder, or it might be a physical problem. You mentioned that you have a very unusual narrow bedroom with no windows. Is there a chance that you're not getting enough ventilation when you sleep, or that there's a carbon monoxide leak in the building? A cheap CO detector, which you should have anyway, is the best way to find out. You also have really bad headaches. Your own medical and mental history and your other experiences. If you think these incidents might be you writing notes to yourself, there's no shame in getting someone qualified to give you an opinion. As you probably know, carbon monoxide is an odorless gas that is incredibly dangerous for humans. At low concentrations, it can cause headaches, dizziness, and confusion, but at high levels, it can easily kill you. For Cackerline to know that the user had an unusually narrow bedroom with no windows, he would have had to go through some of our Bradbury's older posts, which is ultimately what gave him enough information to come up with the solid hypothesis and potentially save the uploader's life. 3 years after the incident, WBUR Boston Public Radio turned the thread into a podcast episode as a part of their endless thread cooperative project with Reddit. In the episode, they interviewed Cackerline, whose real name is Ken Roche, an engineer who had been through a similar experience with carbon monoxide. When asked about how he came up with this hypothesis, he replied, There was a past post where RadBradBrain1920 was asking an interior design subreddit about how to fit a desk and bed into a really narrow apartment that they were moving into that didn't have any windows. That got me thinking, gosh, an apartment in Boston with no windows. Of course they're hallucinating. Their landlord is not coming in to write notes, but why are they hallucinating? RadBradBrain replied to Calculax's comment just a few minutes later saying, I have had really bad headaches, and I actually already do have a CO detector. Guess I should probably take it out of its box and plug it in. The fact that the uploader incorrectly set up the webcam and assumed the files had been deleted was probably related to the confusion caused by carbon monoxide poisoning, a theory that many of the comments in the thread seem to echo. Following the original uploader's reply, several users jumped into the thread to praise Calculax. Calculax just saved your life, RadBradBrain1920, literally. Seriously, send that guy money. The probability of joining these two people, one with the problem and the other with the ability to pick out the details and propose hypothesis, is absolutely insane. RadBradBrain1920 could have choked on himself for years before reaching this conclusion. Talk about crowdsourcing information. In a comment that he made on another post a couple of years later, RadBradBrain provided a few more details that clarified his situation a little more. In my case, it had to do with my bedroom not having windows. It was not technically a bedroom, but cheap apartments and pools don't get along. They invite you to meet directly with the parking garage. There were numerous other issues with the building that further facilitated the severity of my situation, including, as you mentioned, issues with the furnace and ventilation. Since the incident in 2015, RadBradBrain has been active on several threads, replying to people who were in similar situations to him and helping them understand the symptoms of carbon monoxide poisoning. After Calculax's life-saving reply in the original post, there was one small detail that was left unresolved. Why did the landlord's handwriting match the writing on the post-it notes? Although RadBradBrain never commented on the matter himself, other redditors in the thread came up with their own theories. A bit late to the thread, but how does that explain the fact that the notes had the landlord's handwriting? Yes, I had caught that. Either everything is a lie, and his handwriting looks odd when he's tripping on carbon monoxide, or he was just being paranoid. That doesn't explain how the landlord's handwriting looks identical to the post-it notes. Bad handwriting all blacked out mixed with paranoia. I don't know, man, I'm not the OP. Considering the uploader initially thought the post-its were being left there by the landlord, it's highly likely that he imitated the handwriting from the letter in his confused and potentially paranoid state. This is the only loose end of the incident that was left unresolved. But one thing we know for certain is that Calculax hadn't replied to the post as quickly as he did, and things could have ended tragically for our BradBrain, and probably some of his neighbors as well.
The world's most popular crypto card just got better.
Tragically for our BradBrain, and probably some of his neighbors as well. At around 1 a.m. on October 4th, 2010, Reddit user Khaled the Gypsy posted a concerning entry with the title, Does this mean the FBI is after us? Me and my friend went to the mechanic today, and we found this on his car. I'm pretty confident it's a tracking device by the FBI, but my friend's roommate thinks it's a bomb. Any thoughts? Edit 1. I should also clarify that the FBI had an interest in my friend since his father passed away, as he was a religious leader, and they made attempts to contact my friend to raise his questions. Edit 2. I should have been more clear clarifying, but really... I should also clarify that the FBI had an interest... It's on his call. Any thoughts? Edit 1. I should also clarify that the FBI had an interest in my friend since his father passed away, as he was a religious leader, and they made attempts to contact my friend to raise his questions. Edit 2. I should have been more clear and clarifying, but religious Muslim leader, and I'm an EMT. But it was my friend's car, and he doesn't use Reddit. My plan was to just put the device on another car or in a lake, but when you come home to two stones people working on the device and convince the bomb, you just gotta be sure. Edit 3. More pictures. Edit 4. People keep repeating some posts, so I'll address the more frequently asked questions here. The device was found in the exhaust, but further in, my friend's father was a Muslim religious leader. It is not an ex-girlfriend that placed the device on his car, nor some random other employer or such. He bought the car a little under a year ago, and it wasn't there for sure then. Last edit. I'm doing another post because the story has many new developments, hopefully within a few hours. Comment that quickly rose to the top Reddit. It's a Guardian ST820. It's a GPS tracking unit made by the company Combo. The product line is called Orion. The Redditor said that the battery magnetic unit is handmade is wrong. You got the standard kit. It's sold like that by Combo. Sales is restricted to Army and law enforcement. Too long didn't read it. Yes, FBI or police is after. Naturally, other Redditors joined the thread with all kinds of questions and comments, especially regarding legality of tracking someone who presumably didn't have a criminal background. It was recently ruled that if your car's in your driveway, it's in a public place, and the police can't put any kind of tracking device they like on it. Welcome to the free world. That is more than a little terrifying, which is why you park your cars in the garage. Would it then technically be illegal to remove it? Why is it so big? That looks like a GPS tracker from 1992. Because it was built for performance and durability, and not to make Mojo IPS. The large cylinder that looks like a mag light is a battery pack that'll power the thing for weeks. At one point in the discussion, the OP asked, are there any lawyers in this field reading this? If yes, please advise. I am. My advice is that you get your friend a lawyer fast. On October 7th, 2010, just 2 days after the original entry, the OP posted this update. Update 2, does this mean the FBI is after us? The original post here is the first part of the story. That being said, the follow-up for my friend's story is actually on Wired.com is the story there. The FBI is actually now trying to get in touch with me about the post. So as not to anger our government agency any more than I already have, I will be posting a lot about that, so feel free to ask any questions about my friend. According to the Wired.com article, the FBI sent a half-dozen agents to the uploader's friend's house in Santa Clara, California, less than 48 hours after the original Reddit entry was posted. From my research, Khaled the Gypsy's friend, then 20-year-old Yasser Afifi, is the son of the late Aladdin Afifi, former president of the Muslim Community Association in California. Although Aladdin himself moved to Egypt in 2003, his son Yasser returned to California alone in 2008 while his father and brother stayed in Egypt. Because of the government's perception of his father's work, he had been on a federal watch list for a while and was regularly taken aside at airports for secondary screening. On the day he was visited by the FBI, the agents demanded the tracking device back and made it a point to let Yasser know that they knew pretty much everything about his life, including where he and his girlfriend frequently went out to eat, that he had been laid off from his old job and hired at a new firm, and was planning a business trip to the device yard. After interrogating and intimidating him for a while, they brought up the fact that his friend Khaled, the original uploader of the Reddit thread, had recently made a blog post on another site that allegedly had something to mall or bomb. After an unidentified person called the FBI to let them know Yasser and his friend were threats to national security, the two friends were immediately flagged, even though it was later found out that Khaled's blog post was meant as a casual joke in an online forum. Eventually, the FBI left both of them alone, but the case got the attention of the American Civil Liberties Union, as the tracking device was installed following a recent ruling saying it's legal for law enforcement to secretly place a tracking device on a suspect's car without getting a warrant, even if the car is parked in a private driveway. As soon as the whole mess was cleared up, Yasser and Khaled's case was used to challenge the ruling on tracking devices, which is a battle that continues to this day. The two friends haven't been bothered by the FBI again. On January 21st, 2016, a Reddit thread titled, To Those Who Have Accidentally Killed Someone, was started by users on the site. Wayback Machine. In the days following the upload, the thread received almost 7,000 upvotes and more than 10,000 comments with people confessing to all kinds of horrible crimes they had accidentally committed in the past. As in any other Reddit discussion, most of the responses were obviously fake. However, a few of them were actually believable. Not sure if it was an accident, but while in college in my first apartment, I came home from work at 3 a.m. Some dude was in the hallway outside my door, and I had a bad feeling about it. I paused and went to get the mail, hoping he would leave. Nope, I came back and he was waiting at my door. I asked him what was up, and he said he was looking for John. My name is not John, and I lived alone. I asked him to close my door. He told me to F off and get John. I slid between him and the door, opened it, and he pushed his way in. I pushed him out. He took a swing at me. I swung back, hitting him in the eye, which caused him to fall back and hit his head. I'm cold, forever. Apparently, John was the guy who lived in the apartment before me. The dead guy spent 5 years in jail because of John ratting him out for drugs. That guy came back to get some revenge. Got dead instead. Most of the comments were similar in nature to this one, but one particular response made by now tweeted the kill stood out more than any of the others. This still haunts me to this day. This kid had a hideout in a dirt cliff/column. This is the best approximation I could find on Google, only 3 times taller and probably 10 times as wide. There was a neighborhood kid who, in hindsight, was probably mentally handicapped in some way, but to us he was just a weird/creepy kid. This was the 80s, and we weren't exactly raised BC. 3 of us were headed to our base and found creepy kid sitting on top of our guard chair. We yelled at him to get out, and he said something like, "Make me," and started lobbing dirt lines and sticks down at us. We all ran around the side to make our way out. It gets pretty fuzzy here, but all I remember is he fell. I still remember the sound. When we got back down to check on him, he was in a very awkward position with blood coming out of his nose. We all just freaked out and ran home, and as far as I know, no one has spoken a word of this to anyone. We didn't go back for over a month, and never said a word of it between us. Again, this was the 80s, so media wasn't like today. Chances are I got a small article in the newspaper B section, visiting memories saying John found dead after fall or something like that. Most of the responses to that confession were pretty unremarkable, but one common spark of mystery that remains unsolved to this day. Was it Scott Cleashel? He went missing in 1988 in St. Charles, Missouri, correct? That would make you around 10 or 11 at the time he went missing. He would have been 9. The fact that the response included such specific information on a particular case raised a red flag for many users of the platform who went to do their own research on the case. According to what I found, Scott Cleashel was a young boy who grew up in the 80s, about 20 minutes from St. Louis, across the Missouri River. He loved playing outside in nature and spent most of his time exploring the area near his home. June 8, 1988 was the day of Scott's first grade graduation. His parents had promised him that they would buy him a new pair of shoes and take him out to dinner to celebrate the occasion. And when he got back from school, he went to the trails to play while he waited for them to get ready. To make a very long story short, Scott never came back, and his disappearance was immediately reported by his family. Unfortunately, a violent storm broke out that night, followed by a series of flash floods, which complicated the search for the boy. Despite the leads that popped up in the case over the years, the disappearance of Scott Cleashel remains a mystery to this day. In 2011, the case was featured on an episode of Nancy Grace, in which Scott's older brother gave his account of what happened on the day of his brother's disappearance.
Stop! Never, here!
And what did Stacy see?
The last time she had seen him, he was at the top of the hill just playing, running around. People say not to play on the street. That's where he was.
And this was a fairly rural area too. He was sort of out in the country, right? The kids just achieved green, right?
Yeah, there was a neighborhood. I mean, there was a neighborhood full of 100 kids in the neighborhood, but right 5 minutes from our house.
How violent was that storm late afternoon? And did you think your brother had young kids?
Pretty bad storm. It just came and went pretty quick. I don't think he hit necessarily. He hit someone. He was inside someone's house, playing inside with
Scott was last seen in the 3300 block of Leverenz Drive near the trails. Based on the current Google Maps area location, the description of the area by the Reddit user initially doesn't seem to match up with the images, but one user on another thread mentioned that the location that is now Fox Hill Park in St. Charles had dirt trails and several steep gorges cutting through it in 1990. It's a little over a mile by foot from the last sighting of Scott Cleashel. Route I-370 wasn't built then, so it was accessible by foot. Today it has been graded somewhat in its stormwater management areas, but you can still see the cliffs. Based on this account, it's not hard to see how the Reddit user's story can match up with what actually happened. Although none of this is certain, the similarities between the two accounts, coupled with the fact that the user deleted his account after being called out, made it a very real possibility that he was somehow tied to Scott Cleashel's disappearance. Even though the entire thread was deleted by moderators, the user responded to the confession and suggested the boy we described could have been Scott and posted an update that said, "You can make sure the post got the attention it deserves." I'm only posting here as it was removed from r/ask Reddit, and I didn't seem keen on the idea of reinstating after I removed the potentially identifiable info. And if this had any chance of getting public awareness on these kids, or this story of potentially bringing some closure to the families of missing ones, then I want people to see it. Since that day in 2016, there have been no further relevant updates to the case, which means we'll likely never know what happened to Scott, or if the mysterious Redditor had anything to do with it.
Le neige va bientôt partir!
Scott, or if the mysterious Redditor had anything to do with it. On July 29, 2019, user Iceman Throwaway 123 posted an entry in the Afraid to Ask subreddit, which ended up getting over 20,000 upvotes and thousands of comments and opinions. The title of the entry was 12 Mysterious and Identical Stores Open on Holy Street. What could be happening? It read, I live just outside a big city and what resembles a suburban main street. Like many suburban main streets, retail business has been rough and they've all closed down. After a month of nothingness, suddenly 12, yes a dozen, identical convenience stores pop up. They look the same, they aim for the same floor plan, they sell the same products at the same prices. The names are all variations of each other, like Town Day Mart or Market of Town Day, and all clearly other signs from the same place, other months and other signs and shapes are all identical. These stores see no business that I've witnessed, yet have large staff numbers that are surviving way longer than any of the former stores that closed on the street. I am the one they all stare at me while they shop. I don't usually get nervous when people are staring threateningly rather than intently. They waste their cash once you pay some $50. Most of the products are Walmart brand value products being resold for higher prices. Most of the products are expired food products. I bought bread from one without checking because I was at lunch, and it turned out it was 2 months expired. Upon returning to show them, I found the entire shelf with expired foods. Only the grocer with the dairy company checking each health products. I'm so confused. I feel like I'm in an episode of The Twilight Zone. What's probably happening here? Update 1. Stayed late at work and didn't end up going yesterday. Sorry for the swarm of people who did remind me of one day. I'm reading through the comments to determine what to do, if anything at all. Sorry for the less than eventful update, but given how many people were saying I was going to die, I'm just going to point out that I'm alive and well. At first, other redditors in the thread were understandably confused and why 12 identical and highly suspicious stores would suddenly pop up in a random suburban neighborhood in an unnamed town, and several users jumped in to ask for pictures of the location. Can you take pictures, please? Yeah, if it's a criminal organization, this probably isn't the best idea. This is actually the craziest store setup I've heard in a long time. Does every single one have the creepy employees and the expired food? All the stores have expired food and seem to refresh every several weeks. One I found makes a noticeable effort to keep things fresh but still has old dairy products. Does the food actually refresh, or does it just rotate through the stores? You said one store usually has fresh food. Is there a chance that they buy from the distributor and then act like the distributor for the next store, so all 12 stores are always stocked so they only have to buy it once? This is crazy, but it also makes so much sense. Because the OP took a while to answer this thread, other users started coming up with theories regarding what could be happening, with most of the speculation pointing to a potential money laundering or human trafficking scheme. One user with a now deleted account shared a similar experience by responding, 1000% money laundering. We had a pizza place on my block that was always open but never sold any products. One time, shortly after I moved here, I walked in and asked for a slice, and the guy at the counter stared at me looking confused, then walked into the back. He came back out with, I'm pretty sure, a slice of pizza from the Domino's next door that had been reheated in the microwave. He just slid it over to me and said nothing, so I had to ask for a price. Again, he looked genuinely confused and was like, $4. Apparently everyone in the neighborhood knew what was up, so the guy didn't understand why someone was there looking for pizza. Other users had different ideas. That's it, I bet it's human trafficking. The concept being that they pop up stores where they can rotate 4 to 6 employees from the stock room to the front. With 4 to 6 employees available 24 hours, you could definitely bring the cash to justify a small retail space in a small town. Inexpensive property costs. Is your small town close to a larger metropolis by chance? Yeah, it's either for drug trafficking, human trafficking, or some type of money laundering. Stay away. With the question of why whoever was behind the operation would open 12 stores instead of just 1 or 2. My thought is that they aren't afraid of getting caught. It's likely that they have some people in their pockets. While it's definitely a possibility that the stores were being used as a front for a trafficking or laundering operation, other users had slightly different theories, including user Goose and Fish, who implied, what county is it? One slightly less shady possibility is some sort of tax shelter. Open a lot of business that fail and write off losses. Are the employees all the same ethnic group? Not trying to be racist, but maybe some rich family is trying to hide money in another country by buying foreign real estate. Maybe they have to make businesses appear to be legit in order to not pay taxes. This may be the best guess on here. That explains the expired food. In the hours that followed the original post, the OP remained somewhat active on the thread, vaguely answering questions about the location of the stores and other details that his fellow redditors were curious about. In one of the comments, I said always 1, 2, 3 mentioned, I hope this isn't giving away my location, but the town is old. Not the town, but the people in it. It's basically a retirement community, and I often joke I'm the youngest person in the whole zip code by 30 years. Honestly, it might be true. I don't have many people to talk to about it. I did have friends over a month ago who were shocked. The reactions were like mine, shocking and disbelief, but we were drunk and more focused on having fun and chasing conspiracies. Eventually, because the uploader failed to post any pictures or even mention the location of the town, more and more redditors started to assume the post was fake. Look, you made a throwaway. Why not say the city/area or at least give us some hints so we can conclude it ourselves? This sounds so bizarre that it has to be fake. There has to be some way to influence folks while they sell this podcast. This reads like a creepypasta. Let's because it's fake. No updates. Suspicious. No update, no pictures, no date in town. I kinda doubt any of this is real. After a few days, the OP stopped responding altogether. That was the last post, comment, or thread he ever participated in that account. Whether or not this story is actually true is still up in the air. The post remains a mystery to this day.
Genshin Impact has had some amazing events in the history of their game, but there is one that always stood out, and you got...
In 2011, the subreddit The Truth Is Here was created for people to share personal encounters with the paranormal and unknown. Since its creation, the subreddit has seen a lot of odd and interesting posts, with some of them rightfully being very disturbing. On September 9th, 2013, a user posted the following entry from a now-deleted account. This is not something I feel I can discuss with my family or personal friends, but I'm losing my mind here, so I feel the need to work through it with someone. As such, I'll try to give as many details as possible, but I don't want this getting back to me, and I feel a throwaway account cost credibility. Here's what's going on. I lived in this apartment complex 4 years ago when I was 16 years old. We did not stay here long due to problems with the lease, but during that time, I spent quite a few hours walking around the grounds. Now, on the east side of the complex, the bike trail is raised up on a slope. It makes a half circle around the complex, and it carries on to the rest of the city. One night, I was walking my dog Shasta along this trail. It was around 10 p.m. in May, so it was pretty dark at that point. I reached the bend of the trail path that leaves the complex, and there was a guy standing there. White guy, maybe 35 years old. Couldn't see his eyes. He was not doing anything. Smoking, walking his dog, tying his shoe. He was doing nothing at all. He was wearing a puffy down coat and had sand in his pockets, and he was just staring at me. I laughed a little, tried to make that awkward kind of conversation that you do with bumping into a stranger, but the guy said nothing, just kept staring. So me and the dog sidled around him and walked on. But I eventually got nervous and cut through the trees to get back to my apartment without going on the trail again. I could way home from there, even without the trail, but here's the thing, the second I stepped off the trail, I can't remember anything past that. It was like I blinked, and suddenly I was in the hall inside my building, turning a key in the lock of my apartment. Fast forward 3.5 years, I was 19, 7 months pregnant, and moving into a new place with my fiancé. As fate would have it, we moved back to the apartment complex I lived in when I was 16. It was cheap, it was comfortable, and near where my fiancé works. We ended up in a unit 4 buildings down on the east side of the complex, directly across from the bike trail. When we get to living there, I went to take out the trash. I wouldn't have my fiancé do it, but I wanted to get off my feet, so I wanted outside to the dumpster. The dumpster, which is right next to the bike trail. I closed the lid on the dumpster, and after the bag of the lid, I hear someone talking. Look up, and guess who was standing on the bike trail? A guy standing, white guy in mid-30s, and still wearing the same down coat. He had a cell phone to his ear, was not a new or kind, it was an older flip phone, searching for live or so. Anyway, he was talking into the phone, and he sounded pissed. He was cussing at someone on the other end, someone named Warren. But you know how when people have a phone conversation and they tend to duck their heads down opposite people? Yeah, he wasn't doing that. He was looking right at me. After a second of this, I started backing up, and he started walking toward me. After a second, he was on the grass hill and onto the parking lot, and he took the phone from his ear. He then started snapping it into pieces, tearing out the antenna, breaking the screen off, and angrily throwing them all into the parking lot ground, and still looking at me. I turned around and ran back into the building as fast as I could, and I don't remember what happened next. Next thing I knew, I was on a bed in the maternity ward. There was a fetal monitor strapped around me, and I had a saline IV in my arm. My fiancé was there. After a bit of confusion, we worked out this. I came in from taking out the trash, and I was calm. I didn't say anything about the guy with the cell phone. I watched an episode of Battlestar Galactica with my fiancé and started throwing up a bit. It was normal to my pregnant self. But I spiked up 30 years later, so there we were at 5 a.m. in the hospital making sure I was okay. All this time, apparently, I was perfectly alert, and on the way to the hospital, I apparently talked about our plans for the upcoming Christmas. I was discharged an hour later. They said I had the flu. They gave me Tamiflu and told me to sleep it off and stay indoors. When we pulled into the apartment parking lot, I got out of the car and looked for the cell phone he dropped. It was there, but it looked like it had been run over. Talking about us, it was cracked into dozens of pieces. I collected what I could, and it looks like it was a Nokia 6085. This happened in December 2012. Today is Monday, September 9th, 2016. I've not seen the man in the down coat since then, until this morning. My fiancé, yes, still not married, leaves work at 6 a.m. Not working until 1 p.m. myself, I feel I still sleep at this point. Around 8 a.m., I got up and put a robe on because somebody was knocking on our door. Shasta was growling at the door, which was a little unusual. She would typically bark at people, but never growl. I told her to go to her kennel, and she sulked away, and I answered the door. I should have looked through the people first, but I didn't, and I cannot express how much I regret that. The man in the coat was on the other side. I remember seeing him, and I remember wondering, why is he still wearing that coat in this weather? After that, I remember nothing. I woke up an hour and a half ago sitting on my kitchen table. The first thing I noticed was how unbearably hot it was in the apartment. I went to the thermostat and found that it had been set to 90 degrees and was blowing out hot air. I wasn't wearing my robe anymore. I was dressed for the day and I worked uniform and getting ready to leave soon. My baby, now 7 months old, was in her crib. She was crying, evidently not having been fed or changed. There was pee all over her bed as her diaper leaked. Shasta was laying by the crib whimpering. I fed the baby, got her changed, and checked my dog for any injuries. She wasn't hurt. I'm not hurt either, but there is blood on the floor by my doorway. I wonder if Shasta bit the man. I don't know, he's gone, and from what I can tell, nothing is going on. Like, what do I do now? And in case it's not obvious, I seem to have lost an hour and a half in this last encounter. It was 8:07 a.m. when I got up, and by the time I had the sense to check the clock again, it was about 9:45. Due to the level of detail the user provided, it seems unlikely that the story was made up for attention. In fact, only the threat users are flying at any point, which is pretty rare in online forums. Most people even recognize the uploader's problems as symptoms of a serious neurological issue. I go to the doctor. I really hope not, but what if the brain tumor? It could cause some vivid hallucinations. Also, losing time is typical of a seizure. It could be many things, but I hope it's really just something that has nothing to do with health. Could be the man in the white coat. Is your brain communicating that you're about to have a seizure? Not with the others. You need to visit a neurologist. Unfortunately, since the account I made posts is deleted, there was no way for me to find any potential updates made by the uploader. However, she didn't reply to any of the comments made on the thread she started, which means she was either able to get the help she needed, or something ended up happening to her.
Je suis une machine, conçue pour accomplir une tâche. Je sais pourquoi j'existe et qui m'a mis au point. J'ai le mérite de vivre. C'est ce qui doit nous différencier.
Ça t'a fait quelque chose quand cette fille s'est suicidée, connard? Où est-ce que tu n'avais absolument rien à battre?
J'ai simplement été